All right. Call the meeting to order. Can I get approval of the minutes of the May 15th meeting?
I'll move.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, Jack, you're up.
Okay, what I have it on the agenda, but Linda reminded me that we did through a consensus extend the sales tax exemption for the Home 2 project. We were going to ratify in July, but we didn't have a meeting in July, so I would ask that we make a motion. Does someone make a motion to approve that? Again, we already did approve it, but ratify it.
All right, I get a motion to ratify the approval of the exemption to Home 2.
I'll move to ratify.
Second.
Thanks, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good, so moved. Anything else, Jack, before we get started?
Nope, that is it. It looks like John Buffa is looking to join us. I'm going to send him the dial information. So, okay, on the line is Mike Fogel. He is attorney for Brian Bowers and his project at 1900 Bleecker Street. So Mike is going to explain the project in anticipation of Mike Licata, who is kind of a right-hand man, to provide perhaps other information. So Mike, if you want to start, that'd be great.
Sure. Thanks, Jack. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So my name is Mike Fogel. I'm counsel to Bowers Development and its related development entities. Mike Licata may be joining as well. He's a partner with Mr. Bowers. As you may know, just by way of background, Brian and Bowers Development and various development entities has been very active in the Utica area. I'm sure you're familiar with some of his projects. He's done a lot of really cool stuff in Utica, created jobs and made quite an investment already. And he's looking to continue that, obviously, through the development of 1900 Bleecker property. As you probably know, that property is the former GE radio building, approximately 225,000 square feet. And Brian, through entity 1900 Bleecker LLC, intends to develop that vacant, blighted, and underutilized property into a really vibrant space. In the end, it's going to be total project cost of approximately $4.8 million is going to go into the project. In the end, it's going to be, basically brand new 84,000 square foot space for manufacturing, industrial, or warehousing type of use. Now, there's already been discussions with prospective tenants. Mike was here. He could probably go into more detail about who may be going in there. But at this time, there's already been interest in the building. We anticipate that there's not going to be any issues, getting tenants into the building. So with respect to construction timeline, I think there's some work going on, but in the end, the construction completion date is the end of 2021. Again, it's going to involve approximately $4.8 million project cost. Going to retain and create a total of 50 jobs. Now, as we identified on the project, we really do need the IDA's involvement with the project to make it really the successful project and to carry out the vision that Brian has for the property, which will maximize investment and job creation. Wouldn't be the same project without the IDA's involvement. There'll certainly be reduced in size and scope, which obviously would reduce the amount of investment and job creation associated with the project. Would also cause project delays. That's if the project even went forward without the IDA's involvement. Total benefit that we're seeking through the IDA, obviously MRT of approximately 30, mortgage recording tax exemption benefit of approximately $36,000, sales and use tax benefit approximately $175,000. The pilot exemption value going through the calculations is approximately $281,000. But again, we also calculated approximately $4.7 million benefit, which, we think based on the calculation significantly exceeds the cost and benefit that the IDA would be conferring to Mr. Bowers, the entity, in connection with the project. So again, we think this is another one in a long line of very successful Bowers development projects. And, I'm happy to answer any questions to the extent I can. But again, we're seeking benefits through the IDA. And we hope that you agree that this will be another great project. It'll really turn another vacant, underutilized property into something successful that'll create jobs and investment in the area. Thank you.
Jack, has that building been paying tax over the last few years, or has it just been vacant over there?
It's been vacant. The city has owned the building for a number of years, probably at least 8 to 10 years. It's been sitting empty. It has not been taxes been paid on the building. No electric service, no utilities to it either. So it's kind of raw, tough space. We've been in the building, I don't want to say 100 times, but many times. Very bad shape. A lot of asbestos that has been abated. There's lead, there's pigeon stuff, there's anything that you can really think of in a modern day commercial building. It's in that building. Plus the ton of literally tons of trash. I've been driving by the building a number of times, and you're making pretty good headway as far as demolition, and also in their rebuilding of the building, renovations of it.
Jack, is that the property that had a fuel tank or some storage tank over there that we needed to take special care with?
Correct. There were 2 tanks in one of the buildings that they used to power their assembly equipment, or the equipment that they had there, and to heat the building. So it was I think an 8,000 and a 10,000 gallon tanks. They both had oil. The DEC required us to not take the tanks out, but rather to empty the tanks to a certain degree. So that was done. And then mischievous kids were in the building, and in an attempt to try to take some valves off a generator, it was filled with PCB oil, laden oil. So the DEC saw that, immediately had a response to it to have that drained of all the oil. So we did that. There was another transformer in the building, maybe another 2, pardon me, but they had not been vandalized, we'll say. And then thus the DEC didn't feel the need to have those drained, knowing that there was an ultimate buyer down the road for the building that would be taking care of it, and that were environmental in nature. So that was again, one of the offshoot businesses of is AECC, and that entity is able to work through that process of removal of the tanks, of the asbestos, of the environmental issues. They don't do the work themselves, but they do the planning of it and the remediation plans.
Okay, thanks.
Who owns the building right now? We don't own it, right? It's sold.
No, Bowers Development owns the building currently. Mike hop in, but So they own the building and they will transfer it to 1900 Bleecker LLC in a short time, I believe. Mike, I don't
Looks
know.
like
Do
a
you
war
have a
zone
time frame?
right now. Looks pretty bad right now. I don't know what's going on there. The mess.
Right, and that's the demolition of all that middle
okay.
section of the building. And then they'll keep that back structure, that skeleton. The steel is good. They will also get rid of the front half of the building. That is the concrete section that you'll see. So that will be demolished at some point also. Mike, do you have any time frame of transfer of ownership on this?
I think it's just a matter of completing some of the work because we just don't want to disturb what's in place now with respect to all the insurance information. So we want to get more of the work completed, and then we have all the paperwork ready to get it flipped over to 1900 Bleecker. But we just want to make sure the timing's right so we don't, mess up any of the insurance that's in place right now. That's the only issue, Jack.
Gotcha.
Jack, I have a, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Mike, for you, the job projections that are listed in the application, can you tell me what the retention and creation are based on? I believe these job estimates are based on tenants who are expected to come into the facility.
Correct. That's the. Were you talking to me or to Mike?
Well, it was directed to Mike, but.
Okay, no, I'll let Mike answer.
No, I think that's correct. I mean, it's based on anticipated tenants and either job retention in the area or job creation based on that.
Okay. The reason I'm asking that is committing to those numbers right now. I guess if that's the conservative expectation, because the applicant will be subject to recapture if those numbers aren't met. So I just wanted to make sure that they were comfortable
Yes.
with those numbers.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're comfortable with them. We're aware of that. And in talking to my client and some conversations with Jack, we were comfortable with those numbers, even
Okay.
given the current circumstances right now. But we're comfortable with those.
Okay, very good. And this is just a note. There is a question in the application about whether or not the project will result in the abandonment of a facility. I just wanted to point out to Jack and the IDA members that as of right now, it's true that it will not result in the abandonment, but you'll have to take a closer look to see what happens depending on who moves in there. Because that could at a future time result in an abandonment of a facility if one of the eventual tenants is in there. And then Jack, can you just describe the proposed pilot for the facility?
Sure. As we have issued in the past for a building that has been sat fallow, has environmental issues, such as a number of them down Genesee Street. The pilot is 2 years of 0%, zero taxes due, then 30, 40, 50, 50, 60, 70, 80 ramps up for a 10-year pilot.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And again, that's similar to the 268 Pezzolinello's building, the New Century building, Security building, 167 with Christine Martin and Anessa Carbone. So that is a typical pilot that we've been providing, again, for buildings that are distressed, have significant environmental issues, and need some basically a total renovation down to the studs.
Jack, it's John. Sorry for joining late.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
You mentioned the New Century Club. Can we have an update on that from you and Mike? I'm concerned at the amount of time that this has been ongoing. the completion, and certainly no tenants at this point.
I don't have an answer as to why it's, there's no tenant in there yet. I know that, at least for the security building, once a tenant was secured, then they went ahead and they completed the construction. I think they're in that mode right now for the 1900 building. But 253 New Century, I don't know if Mike, if you can shed some light on that, where they may stand with a tenant and what their current plans are.
I don't know if I have the most up-to-date information on that. I know there's obviously been discussions, but I could probably talk to Mike or Brian, and I can get back to you with a better answer, but I don't know if I know any more than that right now, Jack.
Okay.
And Laura, what are our timelines for, for the developer to meet whatever requirements they had to on New Century?
I would have to pull out the leaseback documents and probably actually go back further into the application to see what the representations were in the application, which I can do. Jack, has that applicant submitted any status reports to you? I presume they would have had to if they had to request a sales tax extension.
No, they have not come back for an extension on that. And I have not talked to Brian lately in particular about it. And I should have, knowing that you had a question on it. So that's my fault.
Okay, so John, I mean, typically the IDA presumes that projects would be completed within a year. That's the length of the initial sales tax exemption that they grant. Unless there's other representations in an application that indicate that it would be a longer project, or if there's other updates that give a reason why it wasn't completed in a year.
Yeah, I just want to be certain that we don't, is there an issue that if they don't meet the requirements on one project, does it impact what we can do or can't do for them on another?
Legally or policy-wise, I don't think there's any prohibitions, but certainly that's a consideration that the members can take in reviewing a new application.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, presumably, I mean, unless they're in default under another one, but I don't know if we have, information to go that far, but I can look into the original representations.
Having been in that building, New Century in particular, a number of times, and all, suited up, masked up because of the asbestos issues in the building and the lead. If they didn't act and take over that building, put a roof on it, to be quite honest, when we after we sold it, 1 week later, as I have mentioned in the past, the second floor decided to meet the basement in a particular section of the building. So that has been totally shored up. All asbestos and mold and lead have been removed from the building. And the roof has been taken care of, along with a lot of the brickwork, repointing of the brick and the stone. So just in a general terms, it's good that we did have a buyer for it, and that someone did take care of those issues, because otherwise, if it was still sitting fallow, it would probably be an empty block, because we would have had to have torn that building down.
Well,
So the inside structure was. Pardon me?
Jack, I understand all that. The scope of work clearly changed. We just need to have this documented. And if the developer has to come back to ask for some type of consideration to change the timelines, then, I think we need to have that detail so we can make sure that, they stay within the original guidelines.
Right, totally understood. And I will,
Yeah.
I'll talk to Brian about that today.
Yeah, I'll certainly go back to them with that as well. We appreciate the comment, and we'll get an update out on that project right away.
All right, thank you.
But I know, like Jack said, there's been already a significant investment in the property. Obviously, as far as tenants go, obviously since March, there's been other factors that have impacted that. So I'm sure that plays a role as well, but we'll get an update out.
Mike, you had said earlier that there's a lot of people that are interested in this project as far as tenancy goes. Do you have an idea of what type of tenants are looking at this building?
I know that there's different manufacturing and potential tenants like that, but I'm not involved in the actual specific discussions. I just know that that's been conveyed to me, but I'm not involved in the actual discussions with the prospective tenants. I think we can find that out though.
All right. Anybody else have any questions for Mike?
No.
I think they're gonna have some cleanup down there. That's pretty messy and dangerous. I don't know how much it's constructed, just laying all over the.
John, you're breaking up a little bit there. Can you repeat that?
I said the ranking on the Utica Street is still in a mess. And there should be some cleanup or some protection. There's metal and stuff strewn all over the place. I don't know if people can get in there or what.
Right. Well, the
Doesn't look
contractors
safe at all.
yeah, they're in the process of demoing a good portion of that building. So they're separating out metals, they're taking, and separating out concrete, any good
Right.
materials that they can find, I suppose. So that's
Demolition, it's like spotty here or there, or like salvaging stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't answer that. I mean, I just know that they're under demolition for a part of that building. Salvaging, I'm not sure about, and picking.
So Laura, this is a resolution to induce, correct?
That's right. And to authorize a public hearing.
Okay. Well, what are everybody's thoughts about inducing? I know there's some questions out there about tenancy and all those things. Can we induce and get those questions answered, or do we have to get those questions answered before we induce?
You could adopt an inducement resolution subject to receipt of information. It would seem that if you receive that information before the public hearing is conducted, then you could consider all of that information that's gathered at the public hearing and from the applicant in the interim. But inducing it today would set the date where the sales tax exemption would begin to be valid. So delaying it another month would also delay the beginning of the sales tax exemption.
All right, anybody? Any issues? John, what do you think?
I would be in favor of moving forward with the inducement and getting the follow-up information after today's meeting.
All right, Mark? Mark, you good with it?
I'm sorry. Yes, I would concur with John. I think we should go forward on that basis.
All right, Emmett?
I agree with Brian as well.
All right, John?
Yeah, with the contingency that we get the information.
So can I get someone to put a motion together to induce subject to the information we're gonna look for?
I'll move to adopt, subject to further information.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so move. Anything else, Jack?
No, that is all I have on the agenda for today. I do expect to have, yes.
Jack, I'm sorry. You do have a seeker resolution for this
Oh, okay.
project, unless you want to wait until you have more information. But the IDA does have enough information to adopt a seeker resolution.
Yeah,
I would rather do it now than wait.
yeah. I don't see any harm in that. Can I get a motion to,
I'll move
you want to
that.
word it for me, Laura?
Sure, to adopt a seeker resolution. City of Utica Planning Board completed the seeker process in October 19th. And, it determined that it was an unlisted action. So the IDA, on the application and based on the record, the lead agency can adopt the resolution.
Right, can I get a motion?
I'll move that.
Second?
All right, it's John, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Laura. As I was saying, I do expect to have additional applications for Hotel Street in September. So there's some other projects that are going on, some kind of behind the scenes, and they're just kind of gathering their financing together, et cetera. So.
Jack, we talked the other day about maybe getting some market studies for those lots to see if we've,
Correct. As I mentioned to you when I did talk with you, I talked with Emmett, Mark, and John regarding securing market studies for the residential properties applications that we do get. Because there's a question out on the street as to saturation in the market for residential units in the downtown area. So I think it would be just prudent on our part to make sure that we have that we're securing market studies to make sure that we're not funding projects that are or assisting with projects that are going to go in essence belly up, because then after a while, and kind of to John Buffa's point about not letting a project just sit around with no tenancy and no build out, because then the market just doesn't exist for those types of units. So I will make it a matter of course that for any residentials going forward, in particular for the downtown, that we do secure that. Projects such as Kellerman are a little bit different because it is for a specific population that is not necessarily part of market studies, but rather the internal knowledge of the population in the area and what the residential resident availability is for those.
okay. There's nothing else. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'll move to adjourn.
Second. Everybody seconds, okay. All right, thanks, Jack. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.